Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is pretty good. Pretty good. Weather is beautiful. Still have drainage issues and coughing, but we're getting through it. And hopefully, I'll be better because I have some things to do this weekend, and I need to be myself for that. So, Em and I have decided this week is going to be kind of just let's just chill. Let's just not try to do anything strenuous. As pointed out yesterday by Jim, there can be some harm in trying to do too much after recovering too quickly, and it can cause further complications. So I'm avoiding that at all costs by doing nothing. But I'm not doing nothing. I told you yesterday, experimenting with Audacity and making some ambient type droning kind of music. I caught a pretty decent idea on a video to accompany that. And in order to realize that, I need to go. If I'm going to do it the way that I see it in my head, there's a location that's kind of in closer to town that I need to go shoot like I guess an establishing shot. Ultimately, I'd love to be able to film in the location, but I don't think I don't think you can get in the building. It's like an old, dilapidated factory warehouse type building. It'd be perfect for the ambiance if I could get inside of it. And so I'm as I explore various levels of this, I guess, twisted creativity, this experimental creativity that I have loved to play with, or I've wanted to play with my whole life. I need to find. I would like to find places that are accessible, that I can get into, that are rotten, for lack of better terms. Not necessarily rotten in the sense of like a falling down barn, but that would be cool too. A falling down barn would be all right. But I'd like to find more industrial spaces that are abandoned that I'm allowed to get into. I would like to get more photographs and possibly videos from inside of those locations. And so I've kind of been on the lookout for that a little bit recently, because I think if I just had like a library of those, that would really facilitate making some of the strange ideas in my head come true. So, we'll see. When I was a kid, here, of course, this was a coal mining town that formed in the 1800s and lasted until, I mean, obviously the town's still here, but the coal part of the town started to die off in the 60s and 70s, and then by the 80s this town was basically abandoned, and the downtown section of the town is still largely abandoned. I mean, there have at least been some efforts to revitalize the downtown area, and when I say downtown, my town is like 3 blocks long. That's about it, like 3 blocks long by 2 blocks wide, maybe 4 by 3. Very small little area. And a lot of the buildings have been torn down or have stood abandoned for a long time, or they've been converted into apartments or something like that. So there's nothing really, there's no reason to go down there unless you need to go to the courthouse or whatever. There's not a lot of businesses. There's a few little restaurants, but there's not really a lot to offer down there. But when the coal started to leave, that's not true. During the time of the coal, we also had manufacturing. And so there was these manufacturing plants. There was a couple of them that were big. Owens Corning was one of them. Probably know them from fiberglass, but I think that the Owens Corning plant that was here mostly made cardboard boxes. We have Alcan, which is still around. It's called Novellus, I think, now, or something like that. It's an aluminum manufacturing plant. They don't smelt aluminum, but they process aluminum and turn it into foil or engine blocks or whatever. And we had GE had a plant here. General Electric had a plant here. We had several factories, and so this was a little bit of a factory town. And when I was a kid, all those factories were abandoned, but they were still there. And you could go see them. Like, there was no security. You could just go there. All that's gone now. They leveled all that stuff in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So it's just like a field now where the factory row was. But trying to find dingy old places to get into is actually very difficult because, you know, for liability reasons, it's liability reasons, I think. But I'm going to keep looking for spots like that I can get into. So I'm going to work on the video for that little song piece. I don't know. I'm going to keep making these little things just because it interests me, and it kind of always has. You know, it's kind of always been a thing of mine. But we got another message from Chris, so I guess for today's questions with Chris, or what's in the voicemail box segment will be, well, here we go.
Wow, the pressure is on. Okay, so I call this random questions.
All right.
What a lot of people might not know is Chevee and I both share a love of Skyline chili.
Yes.
He goes for the fries and dogs. I go for the five-way chili. Here is my hot dog-related question.
Okay.
Is it ever acceptable to put ketchup on a hot dog?
Ketchup on a hot dog is okay, as long as you are less than 8 years old. Full stop. That's my personal opinion. I think ketchup on a hot dog is kind of disgusting, but at the same time, I ate ketchup on hot dogs as a teenager. I would literally take like a whole 8-pack of hot dogs and boil them, and then just squirt ketchup on them and eat them. Now that I'm older, I generally don't like ketchup on anything. It's too sweet. There's way too much sugar. And I much prefer mustard. I really much prefer savory, sour tastes over sweet tastes. Put whatever you want on your hot dog. I don't give a crap. But here in Fairmont, we used to have a man named Russell Gann who had a hot dog stand at the end of the bridge, and he was kind of known around here as being really kind of a hard ass. You would go into his little hot dog stand, which was smaller than the shed. It was like you walked in a door, you bumped into the counter, and then you walked out. And the only thing he would ask you is how many. There was no like, what do you want on them? There was nothing. How many? And if you gave him any other answer, or if you so much as said the word ketchup, he threw you out of the store and would not serve you. And it was, his hot dogs are good. They're very, very good. Their sauce is pretty sweet, so I'm not a big fan of that, but they were very spicy. And in his later years, he told me I used to work on his cars when I was a mechanic. In his later years, he was retiring, and he told me he would sell 100 dozen a day and then shut the store. So however long it took, and it was usually closed by like 10 a.m. People lined up in the morning to get his hot dogs. Now his children run it. It's still a thing, and I'm pretty positive you'll never be able to get ketchup on those hot dogs. But they won't throw you out of the store. At least I don't think they will. They're very nice people. But Russell, yeah, he'd kick your ass out and say, go somewhere else. No ketchup on his hot dogs. Again, I eat whatever you like, but no. Ketchup on hot dogs is just wrong in so many ways. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is métier. It is a noun meaning one's occupation, profession, field of work, etc. Her family started one of Wall Street's most profitable houses, so it's only natural that Ellen's métier would be finance. Métier. M-E-T-I-E-R. And the first E has a little above it. That must be a French thing, and I'm pretty sure I'm not saying it correctly. Métier is how they're saying it. I don't speak French.